Hello, everyone. We made it.
We
a little
did.
later than expected, but here we are. I'm Dan Labbe. Chris Fedor is here. Michael Reghi is here. Bud Shaw is over there. Kind of a new look show for you guys here on cleveland.com. We're going to do a little debate, a little back and forth, a little true and false. Reghi here has some rants that, that he wants to get off his chest throughout the season, so we'll have that. We'll have some photo captions for you, all kinds of stuff. So get down in those comments and talk to us as we go along. Guys, let's get to it.
Do it. Come on, let's go.
Browns 31-10 losers yesterday. A lot of people picked against the Browns. Not a lot of people expected that ugly of a game. Let's get after it. Josh McCown. Let's start there. First topic of debate. You guys get about a minute total, and then we're going to go over to Bud, who we like to call our ombudsman. See what I did there? We're going to go over to Bud. He's going to pick a winner. Josh McCown, though, diving into the end zone, trying to pull a John Elway. Did he go too far, Michael? Was he too aggressive?
Yeah, I like the drive, and the irony of it is that the drive was one of those drives the Browns are going to need. You know, 14 to 18 plays that go 80 yards plus. That's the only way they're going to get in the end zone this year. And you want your quarterback to be competitive. You want him to be aggressive. You want him to make that statement to his football team. I love all that. But Josh, come on, man. That was devoid of sensibility. You didn't need to go Elway, whirly-bird helicopter there. Slide down and live to have first and goal from the one. So I didn't understand why McCown would try to go all bravado there in the first drive of the year. No.
Fedor, I don't know. I mean, he was trying to get into the end zone. Okay. I mean, you're trying to get points on the board, right? Isn't that what you want?
He was. Points are important, Dan, but the importance of the starting quarterback to the franchise is the most important thing. So I think Joe Thomas said it best after the game when it comes to Josh McCown. Isn't he supposed to be the smart, wily veteran, the guy that they brought here to not make the mistakes and just manage the game? It was unnecessary. Every starting quarterback, no matter how I feel about the guy, no matter how the fans feel about the guy, he's the most important guy in the organization. And you can't put yourself at risk like that in the first game of the first year on the first drive. You're too important to the franchise to be doing that kind of nonsense.
But, I mean, maybe he knows the history of this team and that they can't score touchdowns. Maybe he figured, you know what, it's now or never.
Well, forced to pick a winner, I'll have to say this.
Because they said the same thing.
He said the same thing,
I'm sorry. I mean, it's what, 3rd and goal on the first drive? It's 3rd and goal, right?
Yes.
You're a yard away from scoring a touchdown after a 91-yard drive. I mean, you have to try to score that touchdown. Hey, if either of you guys would have ripped him had he gone into the end zone, held the ball, and got up, then I'll go for it. But neither one of you would have said, that's reckless. Starting quarterback can't do that. You would stand up and be applauding that play.
Not in a low-scoring game.
I said I admire his want to show everybody, you know, how tough he is. All
right,
but not sensible.
Let's move on, because when Josh McCown tried to dive into the end zone, went into the concussion protocol almost immediately, it was time to see Johnny Manziel much earlier than we thought. Threw a touchdown pass. Didn't do much after that. So, tweet from Browns SB50. I don't think we're watching the same game if you're blaming any of this on Johnny Manziel. I don't know, Fedor. What do you think? How much blame does Johnny Manziel deserve for the disaster yesterday?
I mean, he's lumped into everybody else that deserves a ton of blame for yesterday. There's not a single player that I could look back at on yesterday's game and say that guy performed well or that guy reached expectations or exceeded expectations. There's nobody. But for Johnny Manziel, look, I mean, you have a responsibility as a quarterback to not make mistakes. That's the whole game plan for the Browns. That's what they want their offense to be. Maybe it's not going to be flashy. Maybe they're not going to score a bunch of points, but you can't put your team in danger and turn the ball over and over and over again. And the bottom line is we saw who Johnny Manziel is and who Johnny Manziel's always going to be yesterday. There was the good, there was the touchdown pass to Travis Benjamin, the flashy play, the fireworks. But you also have the Johnny Manziel, who's a little bit too reckless to play quarterback right now in the league.
For everything that went wrong, though, Reghi, is Manziel the guy we should be talking about? Or
You're not going to be one of those Manziel denizens that wants to anoint him after what you saw yesterday. Look, here's the deal with this. again, I felt before he came into the NFL, so this isn't a second and third call on me. Back to May of 2014, he does not have the requisite skill set needed to be a successful winning NFL quarterback. I'm going to stand by that. If he does, I'll raise my hand and say I'm wrong, and it'll be great for the Browns. But the point is that he has to stay in the pocket more. 3 things that you need with an NFL quarterback. You got to do it with your mind, your arm, and your legs are way down at the bottom end of that spectrum. First half, you noticed, stayed in the pocket, hit some drops, and delivered the football. What happened after he threw that horrendous pick to Marcus Williams? Now he starts running around at the first sign of trouble. Ball security an issue. I'm sorry. I'm not going to anoint him after playing a couple of moments of good football. And secondly, for all of you that believe he should be absolved because he didn't get a lot of work with the ones and because his preparation time was limited, come on now. Please, get a dose of reality. This is the NFL. Your quarterback's got to be the guy who facilitates everything. And a little bit of good, more ball security problems. I cannot find belief in what he does.
I tried to play contrarian on the last one. I can't do it here. Bud, do you have anything?
Well, I agree with some of what both guys said, but in general, I'll say this. Manziel was better than Brian Hartline, and he was yesterday. Listen, if you're going to give him a break and say that he didn't get a chance to play with the ones, what you also have to say is that the Jets didn't get a chance to game plan for Johnny Manziel. And if he's going to be the starter this week, we'll see a defense that can do it. And my guess is they'll use some of the same tactics that the Cincinnati Bengals did in not trying to blitz him as much as rush contain him. And that's when he really doesn't know what to do with the football. So if you're saying nobody should be anointing him, and if you're talking about whether we should blame him, he threw an interception and fumbled twice. Could have fumbled a third time on a play that got called back.
If Josh McCown would have played the whole game and had a 75 QBR, right, and had 3 turnovers, what would you be saying?
Put in Johnny Manziel.
Horrendous, terrible performance, right?
All right, we got to move on. Here's a tweet that was sent yesterday regarding, it's from Dog Pound Nate. He put out an Amber Alert yesterday for a cornerback, Joe Hayden, 5'11", 195, last seen being torched by the Jets. If found, please contact Mike Pettin. It was a rough day for Joe Hayden yesterday. Now, this is a guy who generally, around the league in the NFL, is thought of as one of the better corners in the game. A lot of fans here, of course, think that. A lot of media here, of course, think that. But he's certainly had his moments. Michael, is Joe Hayden overrated?
See, here's the issue here. It's almost blasphemous, right, Shaw, with the Joes, Thomas and Hayden. They're the guys. Everybody loves them, right? They're first-round draft picks, and they're the faces of the franchise, and la-da-da-da-da. The problem is that, yes, this prevailing thought that Joe Hayden is a top 3 or top 5 corner in the NFL, guys, come on, whether it's Antonio Brown or Cecil Shorts or Brandon Marshall, Joe Hayden struggles against big-time receivers. And let me ask all of you this, too. Do you see other quarterbacks or other offensive coordinators, do they stay away from Joe Hayden's side of the football field? I don't think so. Do we see that against Darrelle Revis and against Richard Sherman? Yeah, I see it. How come then Joe Hayden is always aggressively attacked if the belief is that he's a top 5 corner in the NFL? I'm sorry, everybody loves him here, I get it, but not for me, he's not a top 5 corner in the game.
Look, I'm not going to sit here and call Joe Hayden overrated. After the first game against the New York Jets, I'm not. He has already shown that he's a Pro Bowl caliber cornerback. Is he Darrelle Revis? Is he Richard Sherman? No, he's not. He's a step down from those guys, but he happens to play a position where he lends himself to get beat. Wide receivers are paid to. He's going up against the best of the best. I saw Darrelle Revis give up 2 catches to Taylor Gabriel. He's not a great wide receiver by any stretch of the imagination. Joe Hayden has had some letdowns in the past, and yesterday was another one of those things.
In very big moments, too, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
Cecil Shorts,
with a game on the line.
Antonio Brown,
yes.
Steve Smith Sr., Brandon Marshall, in big moments. There's no question about it. But I do think he's a top 5 cornerback in the NFL, and I do think he's the best player that the Browns have on the defensive side of the ball.
But he actually gets to pick somebody
I'm
this
going
time.
to give Fedor an edge here because I believe what he's saying about Joe Hayden being a top 5 guy. What I'm tired of is this defense talking about how good they are and how they're a top 5 defense before a season even begins. Listen, I look back, and not that we should look at 2014 and the way it ended, but the fact is 6 losses in a row now. In 5 of the 6, they've allowed, no, I'm sorry, in 3 of the 6, they've allowed over 200 yards rushing in 2 of them, 150 in another one, and they've got blitzed in big moments in the pass coverage. Until they put that away, until we stop talking about Dante Whitner being a great run stopper and hitter when in big moments when he hasn't shown he is, I'll say the same with Joe, but I think overall Hayden's still a very, very good cornerback.
All right. One thing about that defense, too, when you come away and look, love Craig Robertson. Great guy, decent player. You should not be saying the day after a game that Craig Robertson was your best defensive player.
Yeah.
That's probably an issue. All right. Let's go ahead and take a look at our photo of the game from yesterday before we move on to our next segment. It's from Joshua Gunter. We all know what that is. Josh McCown dropping the football as he tries to hurl himself into the end zone. Looking through some comments that some of you have put up. Clues in there says the Browns better sack Marcus Mariota, who, by the way, now has more career touchdown passes than Johnny Manziel. They better sack him this week. They need to intercept him also. Yeah, that certainly helps. Let's see here. Posternality reality. He agrees with you, Bud, going back to Josh McCown. As far as getting into the end zone, he's all about that.
Well, you showed the picture. You want your quarterback looking like that?
I would say this:
after a game?
if I were going to caption that picture, I would say, 1 in 10 doesn't seem so bad now.
NFL punchline. He's got the new clown show, the most pathetic franchise in NFL history. Ouch! 31 beat down to the lowly Jets. I wouldn't say lowly Jets. They're not a good team, but they're probably going to be okay this year.
Well, to Bud's point, though, if you're going to call yourself an elite defense or say that you've got the best secondary in the NFL or make all of these proclamations before the season even starts, I'm sorry, they didn't play against the Pittsburgh Steelers. They didn't play against the New England Patriots or the Green Bay Packers. That was the New York Jets with Ryan Fitzpatrick scoring 31, Dan.
True. I can't even argue that. All right, let's do true or false, guys. You got your whiteboards here. We got some erasers. Bud has his over there. So I'm going to put something out there. You're going to write down true or false, and you're going to explain it in about 20, 30 seconds.
Okay.
Give us a quick answer here.
Okay.
And we're going to go to the quarterback question again. Let's start there, and it's going to be about Johnny Manziel. So let's say, in theory, that Josh McCown gets through this concussion protocol and he's cleared to play by Wednesday, Thursday, long enough that he could be the starting quarterback on Sunday. So, true or false, Johnny Manziel should start on Sunday against Tennessee regardless of Josh McCown's status. True or false? We will start with Michael Reghi because he's got his board filled out.
Yeah, and again, this is with the condition that McCown's cleared and ready to go.
McCown is cleared.
Then, can you see that? That's false to me. Josh McCown, again, look, regarding sensibility aside, I tweeted out yesterday, a couple of red blitzes, hot throws, got the ball out, the offensive line played well. You deemed him your starting quarterback to begin this season. Now, if he is ready to go, no, you got to go back to Josh McCown and have him start against Tennessee on Sunday, unequivocally.
Fedor?
I say false as well, and for a lot of the reasons that Michael just laid out. Look, if you name Josh McCown the starting quarterback, then it's up to the backup, whoever it is that comes in this case Johnny Manziel, to go out and take that job from him or show the coaching staff that he should be the starting quarterback going into the Tennessee Titans game. It's kind of like what happened in Houston yesterday. If you saw it, Brian Hoyer struggled. He opened the door. They go to Ryan Mallett. Ryan Mallett did enough to be Houston's starting quarterback in week 2. Here's the other thing. What was the best drive that the Browns had yesterday?
First drive.
First drive. That's exactly how they're going to have to play this year. That's exactly what they want their offense to be. That was a 19-play drive, covered 90 yards, whatever it was, converting on third down, smart, controlled passes. That's what you want from a quarterback, and Josh McCown showed that in the first drive before he went whirly-bird.
All right, Bud.
Fedor cut into my 20 seconds pretty considerably. I'm just going to say false. McCown led the best drive. The only reason you'd go to Manziel is if you thought he protected the ball better. Do you? No.
I actually saw a tweet yesterday. This is just an aside. I can't remember who it was, but they said, you know, about Johnny's turnovers. He's a guy that's kind of known for turning the ball over when he's trying to make plays. And I just wanted to respond.
That should make it acceptable in the NFL, right? Yeah,
all
sure.
right. Let's move on
Let's
move on to number 2. We're going to go way back in the storylines of the week because before yesterday I thought, Terrell Pryor, that story doesn't have legs anymore. He got released. He was the 53rd guy. The Browns kind of explained their thinking. Then all of a sudden, we see the tight ends can't catch. There's no playmakers. And all of a sudden, you're kind of wondering, like, was there really not room on this roster for Terrell Pryor? So, true or false, based off this tweet from Joe11W, who says the Browns could have really used a guy like Terrell Pryor in this situation. Is that true? Fedor? True or false? Terrell Pryor could have helped yesterday. You're not even writing.
I've got to digest this. I'm trying to figure out which situation my man Joe is talking about here.
When the Browns were on the field.
Okay,
How's
thanks,
that?
Bud. Appreciate you.
Bud's got
Excellent
something.
clarification.
Let's
Sean.
start with
That's
Bud.
good.
That's absolutely true. I said it was a mistake early in the week in letting a guy go who can at least command a little bit of attention. The pass to Brandon Marshall just proved it. If you have that easy way to get a touchdown, you're so much better off in the NFL than having to do it the way the Browns do it. They gave away a dynamic talent that they should have at least kept for a guy that can't play for 5 weeks. How could that not be a mistake?
Dynamic talent, Fedor?
Dynamic talent.
False. I couldn't think of one situation where Terrell Pryor would have helped the team yesterday because he doesn't know how to play the position that he tried out for. Yes, Bud brings up Brandon Marshall, and he's got the size, and he's got the strength, and he's got the athleticism. You know what else he has? Wide receiver skills, because he's been a wide receiver his entire career. He knows how to get open. He knows how to position his body. Terrell Pryor doesn't understand the nuances of the position, so just asking him to go out there and be big and be fast and be athletic, he's not going to help your team that way.
Yeah, work in progress. I'm sorry, cohort. That's false. I don't believe that Terrell Pryor could have impacted the game for the Browns in a strong fashion yesterday. And Bud, you're assuming that by Mike DiFilippo is going to find creative ways to get him the football? Where is that going to come from?
He was as of last Wednesday's practice trying to find creative plays for him.
There's no evidence of that whatsoever. None.
That he was running plays for Pryor in practice?
That there was going to be success in that. We saw no evidence of it.
Hey, if you're going to tell me, as Mike Pettin just did, that the hint of Terrell Pryor was going to make the Jets spend time preparing for him, you can't tell me that running him in motion in the backfield wouldn't get some attention. I know he couldn't have averaged what Isaiah Crowell did on the ground yesterday.
Woo!
Look,
come on. Whoa.
I like Mike Pettin. I really do. But in this organization, just with Ray Farmer and then with Mike Pettin and all of the, Terrell Pryor is going to make the Jets have to think about something else. Sometimes this organization just has this air of we're smarter than everyone else. And then they go out and they lose a game like that.
You
they
don't
wasted
say.
practice time.
With the way that
yeah, right?
You don't say.
We don't need to go
Like
to
the
pro
way they-
days. That's
they
not how we
draft.
operate.
Yeah.
And it's just, yeah. Anyway, last one, we're going to talk about the running backs. True or false? Isaiah Crowell, Duke Johnson, Sean Drone, the running backs are to blame for the struggles in the running game yesterday. Or was it the offensive line? So true or false, the running backs are to blame for the struggles in the running game yesterday. Michael?
Yeah, I know I'll be unpopular here, but that's okay. I've got big shoulders. I'm going to tell you that's true. And while the offensive line did not particularly get the type of push they wanted, remember now, this was what the New York Jets were doing. Were game plan specific, knowing that the Cleveland Browns were going to run the football. You turn on your television any Saturday or Sunday, and I'll show you running backs that thrive with yards after contact, with take hits and continue to get yards and to be able to move chains. Look, I'm not talking about guys that are elite here. The Browns running backs, to me, and I'm a little surprised because of Wilbert Montgomery, a guy I've loved, they don't hit holes with the proper gusto. Their vision, to me, is something that leaves a lot to be desired. I'm not absolving the offensive line completely, but stop with this stuff that every time a quarterback gets sacked or a running back is stopped for no gain, oh, it's the offensive line's fault. I get so tired of that. There's responsibility on these running backs. They're not getting the job done. They need to play better.
Fedor?
I say true, and I understand that the Jets have a great rush defense. They were 5th in the NFL last year. They allowed 3 100-yard rushers. But come on, at some point, these guys have to produce. Last year, the excuse was in the second half of the season, well, Alex Mack wasn't there, so forget about how bad Terrence West and Isaiah Crowell were in the second half, because when Alex Mack comes back, everything's going to be fixed. Well, 55 was out there, right?
He was out
and
there.
Isaiah Crowell had
and
12
didn't play
carries.
that well, by the by, either.
12 carries for 20 yards? I mean, just fall forward and you pick up more than that on 12 carries. I've got a big question about the running game at this point, and that's what their identity is supposed to be.
I'm on the right side of history again.
Oh, my goodness.
Anytime I'm against these two, I feel pretty good. Hey, I didn't see any holes yesterday. If you're going to tell me that
Isaiah Crowell?
If you're going to tell me that Isaiah Crowell lacked vision, all he saw was a rock and a hard place. There were no holes in that. And don't tell me about how great this offensive line is. You're going to add to your sacred Joes? How about Joe L. Batonio? Huh? I mean, we keep hearing about him as an all-pro guard. Great. I think he had a good season last year. But I didn't see anybody getting any push off that offensive line.
Well, I'm with you about not anointing the O-line, too.
They were beaten up physically by their defensive line. They were beaten up physically on the other side of the football by the Jets' offensive line.
All right. There you have it. Here, we got a photo we want you guys to take a look at. If you're in the comments, jump in there. This is Tony Romo and the officials. Guys, I want you to come up with some captions for this. You got anything? I mean, that was a disaster of clock management last night, but that helped out Romo. But what have you got?
Should we write these out, Dan?
No.
Just go.
Go ahead. Go for it.
What do you got, Fedor?
Tony turning to the guy and saying, "Hey, Bubba, your fly is down."
Wow. I've got saying, "Hey, man, look, your contacts. There they are, right there. Pick them up and put them in."
I think he's saying, "Your cell phone's ringing. It's Jerry Jones."
All right, Tony Romo, the Cowboys somehow win that game. Well, not somehow. They win the game because the Giants don't know how to manage a clock. All right, guess what time it is? Michael Reghi is riled up. Michael!
Oh, I'm already riled up. Look, we hear so much, and I like Mike Pettin. I do. I really thought, again, that this would be the guy that might be able to give this organization the head coaching stability it needs through his toughness, his want to establish a foundation, a belief, a confidence in this football team. Mike Pettin and his coaching staff, you failed miserably yesterday. You had a football team that was not prepared to play, that at times gave a lackluster effort, and also at times looked like that from a philosophy of how you wanted to attack and also not be attacked by the New York Jets, completely failed miserably. Again, there's got to be a lot of soul searching being done. This play like a Brown mantra I keep hearing about. What's it supposed to mean? Toughness, a swagger, a want to spit in somebody's eye and then be able to back it up? It's all wolf tickets right now to me. Shaw knows what wolf tickets are. We're old enough. You used to run your mouth so much back in the playground in the day. Wolf tickets is all you're selling. Look, get your football team ready to play. Make sure that they philosophically understand what you want to do, because yesterday was very, very undesirable and poor. Mike Pettin, if you're going to be better than that, you better start showing it now, or else you are going to squarely be in the unemployment line along with Ray Farmer at the end of this football season, regardless of what Jimmy Haslam said about his head coach and general manager being safe. That's what I'm riled up about.
All right, Michael Reghi.
Wow.
But I'm over here now. This is nice.
I want to go on record as saying I have no idea what wolf tickets are. Apparently,
Yes, you do.
I'm much younger than Reggie.
Okay.
Yeah, much younger.
So, 2 more things we're going to do here. We're going to do grades, and we're going to do bold predictions. So for grades, look, we can give lots of people bad. We can go through position by position and just give out Fs. So what we're going to do is I'm going to have you guys, give your F, pick out a player, a position group, give your F, go ahead and write it down. And then you guys are going to really have to think of them. I'm going to make you guys give somebody an A, too, when all is said and done. But let's start with the easy one. Write down the name of the position group that you think deserves an F, and I'll start with the guy right next to me.
Well, I'm going to give that to the defensive line. I mean, this is what they spent their top draft pick on. We were told that they were going to be much better. The scariest thing about this grade is that it could have gotten this grade a number of times late last season. And I think we now have Mike Pettin, his last 3 defenses, including his last one in Buffalo, have been last against the run.
Michael?
Yeah, well, it's a defensive front 7 because, again, this goes back to my being riled up a moment ago. Look, you talk about I hear from Carlos Dansby and Dante Whitner repeatedly over and over about how terrific this football team is going to be. This defensive front 7 lacks the requisite capability to understand how to stop the run. 29th to 32nd the last 4 years. It continues to perpetuate itself. Fedor rolls on and on and on. And I'm starting to believe it might be more player fit than it is scheme or philosophy.
Fedor?
F goes to the front 7 as well, and I also say stop copying my answers, Michael.
No, I had it written first.
For a lot of the reasons you said, but think about this. For the last couple of years, the Browns have invested numerous resources in building a tough, physical front 7. Carlos Dansby in free agency, Paul Kruger in free agency, Desmond Bryant in free agency, a first-round pick on Barkevius Mingo, a first-round pick on Danny Shelton, a third-round pick on Xavier Cooper, who wasn't even active yesterday. How is it that this defense can't be better in the front 7? It's maddening. It's mind-boggling. Ryan Fitzpatrick wasn't touched yesterday, and Chris Ivory is still thudding through the Browns' defensive line at this moment.
All right, now comes the fun part. I want to see yesterday if you can find someone, anyone, to give an A to. Bud, you started writing pretty quickly.
I did. It was like Final Jeopardy, and I knew the category. I think it's very clear who gets the A, and that's the starting quarterback who only lasted less than a quarter.
The guy who didn't even play a full
Josh
quarter.
McCown played terrific on that series. That's exactly what they wanted out of this guy. And the fact that he got over-competitive in some people's minds, I always thought football players were supposed to try to score. I don't think takes away from it. I thought he played very well, and the best news that this team can get right now is that he's out of concussion protocol.
Let's start with Fedor this time.
Hashtag wolf tickets. I'm not
You like
giving
wolf
it
tickets?
a, yeah.
You don't even know what they are.
I don't know
You
what
don't
wolf
either. Yes, you do.
I don't know what wolf tickets are, but Michael said it, and it sounded to me like he was insinuating that it's hogwash.
That's
So
correct,
Dan,
yes.
I think your question, asking me after yesterday's debacle, 31-10 against the New York Jets, one of the worst teams in the NFL, asking me to give out an A, that is wolf tickets, friend.
Young guy,
Wolf
come
tickets.
through for me. He got it. Wolf
All right, Ray
tickets.
guy.
You talk too much and you can't back it up. Wolf tickets. I'm going to give the guy, I guess they've started dubbing it the rabbit. I'm liking what Travis Benjamin is beginning to do as a wide receiver in this league. He came in here and everybody thought, you know what, he's undersized, he's spindly, he's a $160, and he's only a kick return guy. But I think I've seen great progression in the last couple of seasons. You know, he went down ACL, now he's... Travis Benjamin, to me, is starting to pick up the nuances of, because of his size limitation, he's never going to be elite. But on this football team, he's the only guy that can even put any thought into stretching the defense. So for me, Travis Benjamin gets an A. I like what the young man's doing.
Wolf tickets. See, that's 2 out of
Wolf
3
tickets.
people. That's 2 out of 3 people that were able to answer that question. I think the people have spoken. Question was hogwash.
Playgrounds of Philadelphia. You never heard that expression?
I grew up
Wolfen?
in the upper class suburbs.
Of course you did. Of course. Shame on me. I stand corrected.
All right. Bold predictions. Fedor.
My bold prediction for Sunday's game against Tennessee is that Isaiah Crowell will have at least 25 yards rushing against the Titans this week. I don't know how it's going to happen. It's going to be a miracle if it does. Maybe somebody can take off the blindfold before the game starts on Isaiah Crowell. But I'll say that somebody other than the quarterback is going to be the Browns' leading rusher on Sunday.
That guy?
Won't that be refreshing?
Oh, that'd be nice.
And actually, the two quarterbacks were 1-2 in rushing yesterday. 12 penalties and 5 turnovers aside. My bold prediction is going to be that you're going to start hearing, and if he keeps playing quarterback the way he is, which is not real well, that Peyton Manning is going to, upon retirement at the end of this season, you're going to start hearing him and his name being connected with the football presidency under Jimmy Haslam of the Cleveland Browns. So keep an eye on that as the year goes on, because I think it's closer to reality than many people believe.
Bud?
Well, I didn't know we were going to talk about the rest of the season.
Well, you wanted to, Dan didn't say game
Just any bold prediction you got.
My bold prediction is that I will show up on time next week. Okay, I was a little late today. No, I think it's not quite bold to say that Johnny Manziel will start against Tennessee. It's going to be a difficult week to get Josh McCown back in there and trust that he's not going to have a setback. I also would say that, and I always get these names wrong, Chris, Austin Davis, Austin Adams, one of the two will finish next week's game against Tennessee.
Oh, my goodness.
Yikes. We're already to the third-string quarterback, huh?
Earlier than usual.
Brian Hartline was your backup quarterback yesterday. That would have been.
I thought that Taylor Gabriel had that role. Am I wrong? Did he never have that role?
I thought it was Gabriel, too.
I think he's more important as a wide receiver than Brian Hartline at this point. So.
Jeez.
Ouch. All right.
Brian had a sweet catch.
Bailed Manziel out because that throw was for Gary Barnage, 5 yards ahead of Hartline.
Okay, we'll be back with you next week, same time. Hey, get in there, tell us what you loved, tell us what you hated. This thing is, we're going to work with you guys to make this show what you want it to be. For Chris Fedor, Michael Reghi, Bud Shaw, I'm Dan Labbe. Thanks everybody for watching.